Welcome back, 90 Day Fiancé fans. Get ready, because what you're about to hear might completely blow your mind and change everything you thought you knew about one of the most talked about couples in the franchise. Tim Malcolm and Tiffany Franco are secretly back together. And yes, Tiffany Franco is now pregnant with Tim Malcolm's baby. That's right. And their wedding is officially planned for April 15th, 2026. This isn't just gossip. This comes from behind-the-scenes whispers, leaked insider info, and a chemistry that the cameras couldn't fully capture. By the end of this video, you'll feel like you've been right there with them, through every look, every emotional moment. If you're excited, hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new. Now let's rewind a bit. Tim Malcolm and Tiffany Franco didn't seem like a likely couple at first. Tim is careful, quiet, a firearms entrepreneur with a polished style. Tiffany is bold, open, a single mom from Maryland who wears her heart on her sleeve. Their styles clashed, her openness, his guarded nature. On 90 Day Fiancé, the other way, we watched their roller coaster journey. Tim had trouble committing. Tiffany was frustrated by what she saw as a lack of passion. And there was always the presence of Tim's ex, Veronica Rodriguez, who stayed close to him and helped co-parent. Their relationship faced distance, cultural gaps, and two very different approaches to love and life. But despite the struggles, there were moments of real connection, especially when it came to their kids, Daniel and Carrie. There were also painful fights, confessions, and the sad truth that they might just not be right for each other. Tiffany moved to Colombia to be with Tim, and they tried blending families. But reality TV pressure and personal differences pushed them apart. They broke up, got back together, then broke up again, leaving fans unsure if it was really over. Tiffany seemed to move on and find love with someone new. Tim kept building his business and stayed in the spotlight with Veronica, which kept fueling rumors of a reunion. For a long time, it felt like the story of Tim and Tiffany was over. They stayed in touch for Daniel, of course, but romantically, fans had moved on until now. Because what's come to light shows that the spark between them never really died. It was just waiting for the right moment. And it happened just a few months ago in a city known for energy and secrecy, Miami. It was October. Both Tim and Tiffany happened to be in Miami at the same time. Publicly, it looked like separate trips. Tiffany vacationing with friends, Tim attending business events. Nothing seemed unusual. But here's where it gets interesting. A source very close to both of them reached out to us with information that completely changes the story. This person says that Tim and Tiffany had been talking a lot about more than just Daniel. They were talking about their lives, their feelings, and the what-ifs. And those Miami trips? Not so separate after all. Our source says that even though they had different public plans, they met up one night in secret. Tim booked a suite under a fake name at a quiet boutique hotel in South Beach, not a big chain. Tiffany left dinner early, telling her friends she had a headache. But instead of going back to her hotel, she got into a private car Tim had arranged and went straight to him. This wasn't random. It had been building for weeks through private conversations. They both knew what they were doing. They knew the risks. But they also knew they needed to talk, really talk, without cameras, without fans, without pressure. That hotel room became a place of honesty. They talked for hours about what went wrong, what they missed, and what they still felt. Tiffany shared how hurt and emotionally neglected she had felt. Tim opened up about his fear of commitment and the anxiety that held him back. He said he had regrets and that he had never truly moved on. He told her that she and her kids still held a place in his heart that no one else ever had. It was a night full of truth, laughter, tears, and the spark between them came back. The connection was too strong to ignore. And according to our source, that emotional closeness led to physical closeness. They spent the night together, not just as a hookup, but as two people rediscovering something real. The next morning, they went their separate ways, returning to their public lives as if nothing happened. But everything had changed. In the weeks that followed, fans started to notice small things. Tiffany seemed calmer, more content. Her posts were still lively, but hinted at something new, something peaceful. She shared little quotes about new beginnings and unexpected blessings. Tim, too, looked different, happier, lighter, smiling more relaxed. At first, these changes could have seemed random, just normal life changes. But then, 2 months later, things became clear. Tiffany's clothes started to change. Baggy sweaters, loose tops, big scarves, nothing too obvious, but different from her usual style. She wasn't drinking at events. She sometimes mentioned feeling sick in the mornings, blaming stress or bad food. But the signs were there. And that's when the truth started to come out. Tiffany Franco is pregnant with Tim Malcolm's baby. And the two are back together, not just quietly, but officially. Their wedding is planned for April 15th, 2026. It all started with one secret night in Miami. But now it's a full-blown reunion, something real, something lasting. And that's the story no one saw coming. And then came the ultimate confirmation. A quiet phone call, overheard by our source, between Tiffany and a close friend. The words positive test and Tim were clearly heard. Tiffany Franco was pregnant, and the father was none other than Tim Malcolm. That secret night together had led to something life-changing. Imagine the shock. The mix of emotions both Tim and Tiffany must have felt. A private meeting filled with unresolved feelings had resulted in something unexpected. Our source described the time afterward as a whirlwind, panic, excitement, and a deep feeling that this was meant to be. When Tim found out, he was reportedly stunned. He had to sit down to take it all in. But after the initial shock passed, he felt something stronger, responsibility, joy, and a sense of purpose. This was his child with Tiffany, the woman he had shared so much history with, no matter how complicated it had been. Our source says Tim immediately committed to being there for Tiffany and the baby, fully and without hesitation. This wasn't just about a pregnancy, it was the start of a new chapter. Their lives were now undeniably tied together. Tiffany, although overwhelmed at first, found peace in it. This pregnancy, born from a private and passionate reconnection, gave her what she had quietly wanted for a long time. It was a clear sign of commitment from Tim. For her, it was the ultimate proof of his love, his dedication, and his decision to finally build a real future with her. They kept everything private for months, not just from the public, but from most of their family and friends. They needed time to process it, to adjust, and to prepare for the wave of attention they knew would come once the news got out. And now that moment is here. This pregnancy forced both of them to face the future directly. No more what ifs. No more on again, off again confusion. This was real. This was permanent. And it led to the biggest moment yet. Tim Malcolm, the man who had always struggled with commitment, proposed to Tiffany Franco. And she said yes. The proposal was intimate and private, filled with emotion and promises for the future. Our source didn't share every detail, but said it was classic Tim, thoughtful, sincere, and everything Tiffany had hoped for. Now, for the first time, we can reveal the date they've chosen to get married. Tim and Tiffany will become husband and wife on April 15th, 2026. Mark your calendars. This isn't just another wedding. It's the result of years of ups and downs, breakups and makeups, heartbreak and healing. It's the end of one journey and the beginning of another. It proves that sometimes love just needs time to find its way. This news changes everything in the 90-day fiancé world. Imagine the reactions when this becomes public. The tell-alls, the spin-offs, the cast members finding out, especially Veronica, who has always been a big part of both Tim and Tiffany's story. Will she support them? Will there be conflict? The possibilities are endless. And what about Tiffany's previous relationship? What about Tim's rumored romances? All of that now seems like a memory, replaced by a new and undeniable truth. Tim and Tiffany are back, and this time they're starting a family. Fans will have strong opinions. Some will be happy, especially those who always believed in this couple. Others will be shocked. Some might not believe it's real, but no one will ignore it. This is exactly the kind of story that made people fall in love with 90 Day Fiancé. It's messy, emotional, and unpredictable, but it's also real. Love, in all its complicated forms, finds a way. Tim and Tiffany's story hasn't been simple. It's had twists, turns, and moments where it looked like everything was over. But there was always something pulling them back together, a connection that didn't break. Now, with a baby on the way and a wedding ahead, that connection has turned into something lasting. We've seen them grow, fall, and get back up again. We've seen their strengths and their flaws. And now we get to see the biggest chapter of all, parenthood and marriage. This wasn't just a one-night reconnection. It was the beginning of something new. A real, committed love story that survived the odds and came out stronger. So that's the big news. Tim and Tiffany. A secret night that led to something much more. A pregnancy, a proposal, and a future together. Get ready, because this changes everything in the world of 90 Day Fiancé. What do you think? Are you surprised? Excited? Did you always believe they had something special? Now, let's go back to that night for a moment. Our source described the atmosphere in the room. It wasn't wild or dramatic. It was quiet, tense, filled with emotions that had been held back for years. When Tiffany walked into that hotel suite, she wore a simple but elegant dress. The room was calm but charged with anticipation. Tim had prepared the space carefully. He'd ordered gourmet appetizers and sparkling cider, knowing Tiffany's taste and wanting the night to be just about them. No distractions, just a chance to finally talk. At first, the conversation was light. Small talk, updates on life, on Daniel. But after a little while, the wall came down. Tiffany, always the more direct one, was the first to speak from the heart. She talked about all the times she felt ignored, unheard, like she came second to Veronica. It wasn't an attack. It was a release. She needed Tim to understand how much pain she had carried, how often she had dreamed of them working out, only to feel let down. Tim, as usual, was reserved at first. He listened quietly, but something in him changed that night. There were no cameras, no crew. Just Tiffany speaking her truth. And finally he opened up. He didn't offer excuses. He looked inward. He admitted he had been emotionally distant, afraid, stuck in his own head. He said he always admired Tiffany, saw her as powerful and full of life, but didn't know how to match that energy without feeling like he might fail. He admitted that his closeness with Veronica had been more about comfort than anything else. It was his way of feeling safe when everything else felt too risky. The conversation went on for hours, back and forth, not to blame or argue, but to understand, to finally say all the things they hadn't said before. Everything was out in the open, every wound, every regret, every hope. And in that space, with nothing left to hide, they found something again. Something real, a connection they had always shared. And from that moment, everything began to change. Now, they're not just talking about the past. They're building a future, a baby, a wedding, a life together. And it all started with one unforgettable night. And in that vulnerability, something beautiful reportedly began to blossom again. The laughter returned, the easy camaraderie, the way they could finish each other's sentences, the shared memories of Daniel's childhood, all came flooding back. It was a rediscovery of the genuine affection, the deep friendship that underpinned the tumultuous romance. And it was in that space of profound emotional reconnection that the physical intimacy reportedly became an almost inevitable natural extension. It wasn't just physical. It was a culmination of years of history, of longing, of finally being truly seen and understood by each other. For Tiffany, this pregnancy, this unexpected twist of fate was reportedly a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. Our source described her initial reaction to the positive test as utter disbelief followed by a wave of panic. How could this be? After all the heartache, all the public drama, all the attempts to move on, here she was undeniably linked to Tim Malcolm in the most profound way possible again. But beneath the panic, our source claims was a growing, undeniable warmth. Tiffany had always dreamed of a complete family, of a partner who was fully invested. And while her journey with Tim had been frustratingly inconsistent, this baby changed everything. This wasn't just a child. It was a symbol, a symbol of their undeniable connection, a tangible representation of that fateful night where they truly reconnected. It was in a way the commitment she had always craved from Tim, but delivered by destiny itself. Our source suggests that Tiffany reportedly spent days in a quiet contemplation away from the usual social media buzz she reportedly confided in only one very trusted friend initially, someone who had seen her through all her ups and downs with Tim. This friend reportedly helped her process the enormity of it all, the fear of judgment, the excitement, the uncertainty. When she finally told Tim, a source reported that she was terrified, not of his rejection, but of his potential hesitation of the reemergence of the old Tim, the one who struggled to fully commit. But what she reportedly received was something entirely different. Tim's initial shock quickly gave way to a quiet, unwavering resolve he reportedly assured her with, a sincerity that resonated deep within her that he was in this fully, that this was their child, and he would be there every step of the way. This wasn't just a promise, it was a revelation for Tiffany. It was the Tim she had always believed existed beneath the guarded exterior. Our source painted a picture of Tiffany feeling a profound sense of peace after that conversation. This baby, conceived in a moment of pure, honest reconnection, was reportedly the beginning of the family she had always envisioned. It wasn't a planned event, but it was an undeniable blessing. A second chance at a love story that was clearly meant to be, despite all the obstacles. It was reportedly a moment where Tiffany truly understood that sometimes the universe has its own plans, far grander and more beautiful than anything she could have orchestrated herself. Now, let's turn to Tim, the man who for years epitomized the struggle with commitment. Our source detailed his reaction to Tiffany's news as initially an overwhelming sense of disbelief. He reportedly sat in stunned silence after her call, the weight of the words positive test and your baby echoing in his mind, but then a strange feeling began to settle over him. Not panic, not dread, but a deep, profound sense of rightness. Our source revealed that Tim reportedly spent a significant amount of time reflecting after that conversation. He revisited all the years with Tiffany, the intense connection they shared, the bond with Daniel, the way Carly adored him. He reportedly realized that no matter who else he dated, no one ever truly filled the void that Tiffany had left. He had always admired her strength, her fierce loyalty, her unwavering love for her children. He reportedly saw this pregnancy not as an accident, but as a divine intervention, a final undeniable push from the universe to stop running, to embrace the love that had always been there. The proposal itself, according to our source, wasn't a grand public spectacle. It was reportedly intimate, heartfelt, and deeply personal. Tim, in his characteristic, meticulous way, reportedly planned it down to the last detail. He chose a quiet, significant location, reportedly a place that held special meaning for both of them from their earlier days. He didn't just have a ring. He reportedly had a speech prepared, one that wasn't about lavish promises, but about honest commitment, about growth, about finally being ready to step into the role of husband and father fully and without reservation. Our source claims that Tim, usually so composed, was reportedly nervous, his voice cracking as he spoke. He reportedly told Tiffany that this baby, while unexpected, was the greatest gift, and that he wanted to honor that gift by building a complete loving family with her. He reportedly told her that he had finally stopped running from what his heart truly desired. And when Tiffany, reportedly through tears of joy, said yes, it wasn't just an acceptance of a proposal, it was an acceptance of a future that felt finally perfectly aligned. For Tim, this proposal, this commitment to Tiffany and that unborn child was reportedly the culmination of years of personal growth, of facing his own demons, and of finally choosing love wholeheartedly. Now let's talk about that wedding, April 15th, 2026. What can we expect? Our source hinted that Tim with his refined taste, and Tiffany, with her desire for something beautiful and memorable, are already brainstorming. It won't be a typical 90-day finance wedding designed for maximum drama. This will reportedly be a celebration of a love story that truly came full circle. Imagine the guest list. Veronica will undoubtedly be there, perhaps even as a bridesmaid, given her unique relationship with both of them and her role in Daniel's life. Daniel himself will likely play a significant role, perhaps walking his mother down the aisle or serving as a ring bearer for his parents. Carly, too, will be an integral part of the celebration, witnessing her parents officially unite. Our souls couldn't confirm the location, but suggested it would be somewhere meaningful to them. Perhaps a beautiful outdoor setting or an elegant venue that reflects both of their personalities. Tiffany, ever the fashionista, will undoubtedly choose a stunning gown, perhaps something that subtly incorporates her new motherhood blow. And Tim, we can expect him to be impeccably dressed, a picture of a doting groom finally at peace. This wedding won't just be about Tim and Tiffany. It will be about the entire blended family coming together. It will be a testament to resilience, to forgiveness, and to the enduring power of love to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. More update. Rumors surrounding 90-Day Fiancé stars Tiffany, Franco, and Tim Malcolm have taken a dramatic turn after the two were reportedly spotted getting cozy together at a club. The sighting immediately sparked speculation. Did Tiffany and Tim actually end up together? Adding to the buzz, Tim was said to have finally taken the leap and asked a woman out on a date, raising the question of who his first romantic interest might be. Meanwhile, whispers about Tiffany and Tim confirming their relationship have only intensified, leaving fans both shocked and intrigued. On top of this, reports claim Tiffany may have faked a romance for television, further fueling speculation. To complicate matters, Ronald, Tiffany's ex, has allegedly dropped a major bombshell, stirring even more drama into the already tangled storyline. I will explain everything. 90-Day Finance. Tiffany and Tim seen getting cozy with each other in a club. Did they end up together? Lots is occurring in the 90-Day Finance brand, now that the new Hunt for Love spin-off is at the center. For the first time, viewers are witnessing members of the group in a more isolated retreat-like environment. Already in the pilot, they set the bar high for the most extreme season to date. The ensemble is meeting a lot of new people and forming relationships, but some of them are struggling. Tiffany, Franco, and Tim Malcolm are part of this group. They became fast friends and formed a strong bond early on in the show.